What's up, TM Nation? So over a year ago, I did a video on the TOZO HT2 headphones, and at that time they were almost an unbeatable value at $39. Well, earlier this week, it just so happens that I was looking for a pair of headphones to use outside in the yard that I wouldn't be worried about if they fell off and got scratched while I was working, and of all of my budget headphones that I picked up, the HT2s were the only one that had a charge. But when I went ahead and put them on my head and started listening to them, I was immediately reminded at just how good these things sound and all of the features that they pack at such a reasonable price. Today, of course, like I said, about a year later, they are even cheaper. In fact, at times I've even seen them for under 35 bucks, which is absolutely crazy considering what they bring to the table. That caused me to compare them to another pair of budget headphones that I use quite frequently, which are the EarFun Tune Pros, and even though these are newer and more expensive, they're closer in performance than you may think. First, let me give you guys a quick spec comparison between the two before we take a deep dive into the performance specifics. The TOZO HT2s are packing 40mm drivers, up to 60 hours of use on a charge, Bluetooth 5.3, hybrid active noise cancellation, and they're compatible with the TOZO app. The EarFun Tune Pros, on the other hand, feature dual drivers, 40mm main drivers plus 10mm dedicated high frequency drivers, up to 120 hours of use on a charge, Bluetooth 5.4, hybrid ANC that blocks out up to 45 dB of noise, and they work with the EarFun app as well. The TOZO HT2s have a more subtle design. They do completely fold up for easy transport, and they do feel substantial in the hands, even though they're relatively lightweight at 250 grams. Another thing that I like about the HT2s is that they do have this black matte finish to them that does a pretty good job at rejecting fingerprints. The Tune Pros are slightly heavier, coming in at 289 grams, but they also fold nicely and have that sleek professional look with a matte black finish that I mentioned in my original review. Moving on to the comfort, this is where both headphones actually perform pretty well. I've worn both pairs for 5 to 6 hours at a time, and neither gave me any significant ear fatigue. The HT2s do have decent padding on both the headband and the ear cups, while the Tune Pros feature memory foam padding covered in soft protein leather that feels a bit more premium against the skin. So I would say that the Tune Pros have a slight edge in terms of overall comfort, but the TOZOs are lighter, like I said earlier, which tends to balance it all out. Alright, so now let's get into the sound quality, because this is going to be one of the most important aspects of any pair of headphones. And like I said earlier, the Tune Pros have that dual driver setup with the 40mm main drivers plus the dedicated 10mm drivers for the highs, which isn't just marketing hype. You can actually hear the difference between these and a pair of single driver headphones. With them, the sound separation is impressive, the bass is punchy without overwhelming the other frequencies, and those dedicated high frequency drivers add sparkle and detail that you don't typically get at this price point. The TOZO HT2s with their single 40mm drivers provide a warm, rich sound that I've really enjoyed, especially with hip hop, R&B, and reggae. Using the Rock EQ preset or my custom EQ, they deliver bright highs, clear mids, and a solid bass response. But when you go ahead and compare them directly to the Tune Pros, the difference in the sound separation and overall detail retrieval is noticeable. However, with both pairs, you do have to be careful with how you EQ them inside of their respective apps, because if you dial the bass up all the way, you can get some distortion, especially at the higher volumes. Now for the ANC performance, this is another area where the comparison gets interesting. The EarFun Tune Pros claim to block up to 45 dB of noise with their hybrid ANC system, and in my testing, they handled constant drone sounds like air conditioners and refrigerators almost perfectly. They also did a decent job with coffee shop chatter, as although they did not completely drown out the voices going on around me, they did bring them down to a level where I was able to enjoy what I was listening to without being overly distracted. The TOZO HT2s with their hybrid ANC and adaptive mode do a decent to good job with low frequency sounds and lower levels of dialogue, but I will say that they do struggle a little bit more with medium level conversations and louder environmental noises. But much like the Tune Pros, even though the TOZO HT2s didn't block out as much noise, they were able to bring down most of them to a level that was manageable and allowed me to enjoy what I was listening to even in noisier environments. Head to head, the Tune Pros do have slightly better ANC performance, but the difference isn't as big as the price gap may suggest. I would say that both pairs are effective enough for for most everyday scenarios. Now I want to touch on the call quality because there are some notable differences here. The HT2s have dual microphones with noise cancellation algorithms, while the EarFun Tune Pros feature a 5-mic array, also with AI algorithms for focusing on your speech even in noisier environments. I have made several voice calls with both pairs, and I think that they both will do a respectable job at capturing your speech clearly, but as always, I will insert my call quality test here just so that you guys can judge for yourselves. Let's check them out. All right, guys, so right now I have the headphones paired to my iPhone 13 mini, and as you can see, the audio that you're hearing is coming directly from the microphones on them. Now the room right now is relatively quiet, and I'm not going to do any type of editing to this sample, so this should give you a decent idea of how these will perform in this type of environment. And now I have some simulated background noise playing in the background, and I'll go ahead and be quiet for just a moment so that you guys can judge how loud that noise is. And I'll go ahead and start talking again. So this part of the test is aimed at seeing how well the microphones on these headphones can focus on my speech while rejecting some of that noise. All right, guys, so right now I have the headphones paired to my iPhone 16 Pro, and as you can see, the audio that you're hearing is coming from the microphones on them. Right now the room is relatively quiet, but I will do my background noise test in just a moment. Give me a second. Now I have some simulated background noise playing in the background, and this part of the test is aimed at seeing how well the microphones on these headphones can go ahead and focus on my speech while rejecting some of that noise. So let me know what you guys think. Are they doing a pretty good job, or were you expecting better? Let me know. Speaking on the app experiences, both headphones do have companion apps, but they do offer different levels of functionality. The TOZO app covers the basics, battery level, preset EQs, custom EQ creation, ANC settings, and a pretty extensive library of soothing sounds if that's something that you're into. Like I said before, it's not the most robust or polished app, but it gets the job done and it hasn't crashed on me. The EarFun app offers similar functionality with a multi-band equalizer that makes a noticeable difference in the sound quality, plus features like theater mode for spatial audio and a game mode to reduce low latency. Now for the pros and cons of each, the TOZO HT2s are going to win on price. Like I said earlier, they're usually on sale for less than 39 bucks. They're lighter and more comfortable for extended wear. The app is more stable and they offer solid all-around performance. For the cons, in comparison to the Tune Pros, the ANC is not as strong with the HT2s and the sound quality is not quite as detailed. The EarFun Tune Pros win on battery life by a huge margin. They have better sound quality with that dual driver setup. They have stronger ANC performance and slightly better call quality with the more microphones. As for the cons, they cost almost double, they're heavier, the app can be buggy, and honestly, some of those more premium features might be overkill for casual users. Taking everything into consideration, fam, if you're looking for the absolute best performance and features in the sub $75 range, the EarFun Tune Pros are probably worth the extra money. The sound quality is noticeably better, the battery life is incredible, and the ANC performance is stronger. But, and this is a huge but, if you're budget conscious and you want a solid pair of all-around ANC headphones that will handle 90% of what most people need, the TOZO HT2s are an absolute steal, especially if you can find them on sale. With these, you get amazing price to performance, and they're going to be more than adequate for most people. Before you get on out of here, let me know in the comments which factors matter the most to you. Is it sound quality, battery life, price, or something else? And if you own or have tried any of these headphones, let me know what your experience with them has been so far, because trust me, other people are gonna read your comments and you may help them make a more informed buying decision. But other than that, as always, I appreciate you guys coming through and hanging out with me for a while. I will catch y'all in the next video, but until then, it's your boy Tecmo and I'm signing out. Peace.